Gather close, travelers, and hearken to a tale of fire and frost. Imagine yourselves standing upon a desolate, frozen tundra, far beyond the warmth of any hearth. We plunge straight into a suffocating, churning silence. It is a profound emptiness that presses heavily against the soul, a breathless anticipation in the deep frost, just moments before the sudden, catastrophic clash of steel. We are not merely recounting a passing skirmish today. We bear witness to a supreme trial of endurance, a testament to what happens when legendary heroes are pushed to the absolute brink of destruction.
Picture, if you will, the creeping dread as the very horizon vanishes before your eyes. A thick, unnatural mist descends. The surviving heroes would later describe it in hushed, unsettled tones as a cloying marshmallow-like fog, rolling rapidly across the abandoned camp they sought to investigate. This is no ordinary mountain weather. This is a calculated, magical occlusion designed to disorient and terrify. It wraps around the Fellowship, a suffocating blanket that blinds our heroes, muffles their desperate shouts, and signals the inescapable jaws of a deadly ambush. In this blinding white oblivion, the hunters instantly become the hunted.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how they break that blinding curse. The elven wizard Debbie and the dwarven paladin Welsis unleash a sudden, deafening roar of arcane fire. They coordinate their magics, tactically igniting the mists, turning the freezing battlefield into a roaring inferno of illumination. It is a desperate countermeasure that brilliantly echoes the blazing fires they once summoned to melt that terrifying iron golem in the magic forests. This roaring blaze burns away the occlusion, replacing the churning silence of the frost with a chaotic tempest of flame, illuminating the colossal foes lurking just inches away in the dark.
What emerges from those roaring flames is the stuff of deepest nightmares. Standing amidst the blood and rapidly melting snow are two towering air elementals, living cyclones of destructive kinetic force. And flanking them, 4 whistlers, aberrations born of the incomprehensible far realm. These are grim, featureless stalkers with disproportionately long limbs and thin fingers twitching with malicious intent. These are not mere beasts of the wild. They are terrors summoned to rend flesh and shatter minds. The Fellowship is entirely surrounded, their bodies illuminated by the fire, their boots sinking deep into the wet, melting slush of the battlefield.
Let's move too and see how this builds, for to truly comprehend the peril of this ambush, we must cast our eyes back. This was no fresh fellowship. This was a grueling 3-day march that exhausted our heroes before this supreme trial even began. On day 1, they strained agonizingly against heavy, carriage-sized sleds, dragging them over treacherous, churning frozen ruts. Day 2 brought them to the very edge of the abyss, surviving a perilous crossing over a slick, suspended ice bridge where the wizard Debbie actually slipped, dangling helplessly over the void before being hauled back from the brink of death. By day 3, muscles aching and spirits battered, they reached this cursed camp in the deep frost. They were already at their physical limits when the trap was finally sprung.
The battle erupts with sudden, visceral violence. A towering wind elemental surges forward, its form a vortex of unstoppable pressure. With a devastating whirlwind fist, it strikes the elven wizard Debbie. It is the terrifying moment a fragile glass cannon shatters. The sheer force of the blow caves in her ribs with a sickening crunch, leaving her gasping for breath as she collapses. The shockwave of the impact is so fierce that it sends the rogue, Robin Cade, reeling backward, tumbling head over heels into the biting, blood-stained snow. The Fellowship's most potent source of magical destruction is neutralized in the very first breath of combat.
Seeing his ally fall, the human ranger Aaron makes a choice of pure, reckless heroism. He does not draw his famed oath bow. Instead, he dashes straight into the roaring arcane flames, sliding to his knees beside the fallen wizard. He channels his own vital energy, casting a desperate 3rd-level Cure Wounds to knit Debbie's splintered bones back together. But such salvation demands a toll. Before the healing light can even fade, the elemental pivots, unleashing a brutal, crushing kinetic counterattack squarely into Aaron's chest. He absorbs the monstrous blow, sacrificing his own body to ensure the survival of his comrade.
Across the melting snow, another display of sheer martial mastery unfolds. The monk Percy Jin finds himself in the direct path of the second surging elemental. As the creature lashes out with crushing, cyclonic force, Percy does not dodge. He catches the blow. Channeling his profound ki, he deflects the elemental's monstrous strike, reflecting the fury of the storm back into the earth, turning the creature's own immense force against it. It is a breathtaking display of resilience, echoing the unyielding courage this fellowship forged long ago when they leapt over the surging dirt waves of Duskmere.
So the crucial point is how quickly the Fellowship regains their footing. In the wake of this defense, a rapid, overlapping counteroffensive erupts. The Goliath fighter, Dean Scotch, executes a fearless charge directly into the blaze. Expending an action of absolute desperation, he unleashes a devastating triple strike with his greatsword, cleaving through the featureless whistlers that sought to rend him apart. Covering his advance, Aaron, having survived that crushing blow, finally draws his oathbow. He lets loose a volley of lethal, glowing arrows that pierce through the thinning mist, finding their marks and ruthlessly dispatching the Far Realm horrors one by one.
Meanwhile, the half-elf warlock at Tenemus targets the remaining whistlers. He summons his arcane power, and in a brilliant, blinding flash, he obliterates two of the abominations where they stand. But the victory is agonizingly short-lived. A violent backlash erupts. At Tenemus's magic erratically fractures against the biting cold, blasting backward and severely wounding him. The air crackles with unstable energy, his purple marks throbbing with agonizing heat, anchoring this terrifying moment strictly in the unforgiving, freezing tempest of the battlefield.
Hear me. For to grasp the peril of this moment, one must understand this magical backlash. It is the erratic, violent recoil of a warlock's spell, manifesting physically when a dark thread to their patron is abruptly severed. With the recent death of his demonic patron at the Iron Crown, Atenemus is operating with a catastrophic absence of magical stability. His power is now a wild, untamed thing that threatens to consume him. Seeing his magic falter and his body wounded by his own spell, his allies must desperately pivot, throwing themselves into the freezing tempest to cover his exposed flank before the remaining monsters can tear him apart.
The final strike comes from the shadows of the conflict. Robin Cade, having recovered her footing from that initial devastating shockwave, unhitches her weapon. With practiced, deadly precision, she hurls her boomerang through the smoky haze. The weapon cracks sharply against the shifting, wind-whipped form of the final air elemental. The impact shatters the entity's cohesion. With a dying howl that is quickly swallowed by the wind, the elemental collapses back into the mundane earth. The roaring flames begin to die down. The battlefield slowly returns to a heavy, ragged silence, broken only by the panting breaths of the battered heroes.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true insidious nature of their enemy. For even as the physical threat lies dead in the snow, the psychological assault continues. High above the melting field, formed within the swirling clouds, hovers the Watcher's Eye, a detached, magical anomaly in the storm. It glares down at the Fellowship, instilling a supernatural, lingering dread that grips the soul. This psychic weight presses so heavily upon Robin's mind that it fundamentally delays her body's natural healing. The monsters may be slain, but the Eye ensures the terror of the ambush will haunt their every waking moment for days to come.
As the adrenaline fades, the grim work of surviving continues. Cataloging the spoils left in the blood-stained snow, the Fellowship uncovers items of immense tactical value, yet steeped in dark foreboding. They find a tattered map, providing a direct, vital route to the clockwork spires of Chronopolis, their next perilous destination. But more troubling are the ambiguous soul gems clutched in the remnants of the enemy's gear. These glowing stones are known as potential arcane batteries, used by the enemy to power horrific, automated siege constructs. Their discovery sets up a relentless propulsion. The battered heroes have no choice but to push forward toward the clockwork city, armed with these dark artifacts.
And so we are left to ponder the heavy burden placed upon our heroes. Do these cursed gems hold innocent, trapped souls, making their very existence an absolute abomination? Or do they merely contain bound beasts, chained to fuel the Dark General's war machine? It is a question that gnaws at the conscience of the Fellowship as they coax their sled teams back into motion. Battered, bleeding, yet unbroken, they turn their eyes toward the horizon. They march inexorably onward into the frozen unknown, the apocalypse beckoning, and the shadow of the Watcher ever upon them. What legendary deeds will they forge next in the fires of Chronopolis? That, travelers, is a tale for another time.